There's a level of concern that some people, both in and out of government, have been raising, which is that there's this impression that ASUU is fighting for itself, but not necessarily for our young ones, our children and brothers in universities. That if you have the interest of those children at heart, that this strike could be restricted to a certain number of days, but not an indefinite one, because it's counterproductive. How do you respond to that?
Well, there was never a time when we get anything from government in terms of addressing the problem of rot and decay and brain drain in our universities without the union going on strike. You see, strike to ASUU has always been a weapon of the last resort. We don't go on strike until we have exhausted, all other avenues of attracting government's attention to address the problems in our universities. So really, we have to look at every aspect before we take the final decision to go on strike. And I want to put it to you that since 1992, government had always forced us to resort to this last option before government does anything tangible in addressing the problems of our universities. But I think it's important for us to understand that what government always does after we sign the agreement with government is to single out the salary component of the agreement and pay academics. So if it is about personal gain, we would have just taken the salary and sit down in our universities, continue to deceive the students, continue to deceive Nigerians that we are really delivering on our mandate when we know we are not. And then the rot continues, the decay continues, brain drain continues, because there are intellectuals that no matter what you pay them, if they cannot deliver on their mandate, they will move on to another place where they will have research facilities, teaching and learning, good teaching and learning environment that will enable them deliver on their mandate. So the key issue here is that government, right after the signing of the agreement, singled out the salary component. So if it were for selfish interest, we wouldn't have bothered going on strike. But we are insisting, and we have been insisting with government since 2009, that we must implement the other components of the agreement. And that is the genesis of the strike action that we have embarked on now.
What can you tell us about your collaboration with the Minister of Education as we speak on this matter?
Sorry, I didn't hear what she said.
I asked you are you collaborating with the Minister of Education on this matter? What's the effort like from her side to end the strike?
Are you collaborating with the Minister of Education on this matter? What's the effort like from her side?
Well, initially we have been collaborating with the Minister of Education to address the problem. But at a point, the minister herself made it clear to us that we have to move the matter up. And that was how the secretary to the government of the federation came in. Now, the problem is that even at the level of the secretary to the government of the federation, promises were made severally that we will address this component in 2 weeks' time, we will address this component in 1 month's time, we will address this component in 2 months' time. And when it took a very long time, it became clear to us that government was just buying time. Government was not interested in implementing the agreement. And that's exactly why our members, because time without number, we have been informing them of what government is planning to do on the implementation of the agreement. And whenever we go back, they tell us that, look, Mr. President, this is what you told us in April. And now we are in June. So what is happening? Are these people really serious? Now, when it became clear to our members that government is not interested in implementing the agreement, they decided that we have to take the option of last resort.
Now, what will ASUU do when this whole matter disintegrates into serious violence? Because Nance has promised the coming week that they will stage serious strikes, even possibly go to private universities where they believe that most privileged kids are attending, they're going to go there and maybe burn it up. What will then be ASUU's reaction to this when this happens? Will it be that you want this to happen, or will this be a pedal for you to negotiate more with the federal government?
Well, I am not a law enforcement agent, and I'm not, but one thing is for sure, our union does not encourage violence. You know, people have rights in this country, and your right stops where the right of the next person commences. So we are not encouraging anybody to take the law into his hand. What we are saying is that all of us Nigerians, we have a stake in what is done with the resources of this country. We have a stake in ensuring that our country is put on a sound pedestal towards achieving meaningful development within the shortest possible time. And so we are out to join hands with every Nigerian that will talk to government to ensure that government does what is right by implementing the agreement and then revitalizing our university education, and also as part of implementation of the agreement, placing high premium on education, because education is the key to development. So that is what we are saying. We do not support anybody taking the law into his hands. But I think it's important that we talk to government. I believe government is reasonable and government will listen. So we talk to government. It's a democratic regime. We put them there, we can talk to them, appeal to them, and convince them to do what is right, so that we can begin to change the terrain where our citizens are moving out of the country en masse for education, and begin to attract citizens of at least other African countries to come to Nigeria for education. That is our take on that.
Okay, final word now. What is the way forward? If you say, if the government is making their position clear that they cannot find 1.3 or 1.5 trillion naira, what is ASUU going to do? Are we going to continue like this for the next 1 year and say we've got an impasse, or what?
Well, first, we are not really convinced that government cannot find the money to implement the agreement. It seems like I said earlier, government can find the money if they are going to bail out their private enterprises. I think government can also find the money to bail out a public enterprise, that is education in this country. We are convinced that government can do that, and we are appealing to government to look inwards and do that, so that we begin the process of revitalization of our universities and our education sector. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Nasir Fage. It's been a pleasure having you here, and you've thrown some light on the issues concerning the strike of ASUU. Dr. Fage is the National President of Academic Staff Union of Universities. Thanks for being part of Sunrise this morning.